tell us, PPL, why? Go ahead.
Right, so for those who don't know about PPL, PPL are a non-for-profit collection management organization, and we collect royalties on behalf of members whose recorded music is played in public. So this includes radio and TV play, music in your local shops, bars, nightclubs, and even hairdressers. These royalties are then paid on to those who performed on the track, who we refer to as performers, and also those who owns the rights within the recordings, who we refer to as the recording rights holders. So just to add a little bit of context, take a Little Simz track, for example. Little Simz would be paid as the main performer on the recording, but any other performers such as her drummer, her backing singers, or her guitarist, they would also receive payment, being that they made a musical contribution to the track.
Do you know the percentages? For instance, the vocalist normally gets what, half, roughly? And then the rest goes to the instrumentalist, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah, there we go.
Correct. So, and lastly, as I was mentioning in regards to the split, so the copyright owner, who we know as the recording rights holder, they would also get paid too. And commonly that is more so the label, but it could also be the artist, being if they are self-releasing. Excuse me, PPL, we collect for usage within the UK and also internationally. And that's done through companies such as ourselves all around the world. So kind of just to reiterate, what PPL pays out royalties for is for the use of sound recordings. And these monies are then paid onto their performer and recording rights holder members. Excuse me, sorry.
Don't worry, it's all good. We got you, we got you, we got you.
So many people who are tuned in today, I'm sure would have heard of PRS Music or PRS.
Absolutely.
They are the other UK CMO, and they collect and distribute royalties for the musical composition. So that is the melody, lyrics, or the tune. And what they would do is they would pay those monies onto their songwriter, composers, and music publisher members. So effectively, they would pay out for the song use in any form, and not just only as a recording, whereas PPL would not. So we would only pay out on a sound recording effectively. I'm just going to talk a little bit about why PPL is important, because I think that it's really good for people to know. Excuse me. So what we do is we collect millions of pounds each year for our members. So kind of since the early 2000s, I think we've collected almost 3 billion or close to that. And last year alone, we collected just over 270 mil. So I think our payments can definitely make a difference for our members, and also kind of like at critical times. So taking like the pandemic, for example, obviously live has dried up, being that nobody's out performing. So I'm assuming, well, labels and performers are kind of like looking for different revenue streams to try and find, obviously, to make up for that deficit effectively. So, you know, I think money which is generated from recordings which are played in public can definitely be vital for our members, and also kind of act as a regular and stable source of income for them. This year alone, PPL has kind of tried to do things to benefit and help our members and also our licensees. So this year we brought forth a distribution of 23 million, and that was paid to 15,000 recording rights holders and performer members, which is basically, it was designed to kind of like bridge the gap between our distributions, because PPL has a distribution in March and also in June. And again, due to the situation in terms of the pandemic and the unprecedented times that we're in, PPL kind of just wanted to keep the money flowing to our members. So we made an additional distribution. And kind of just on a side note as well, just to let everybody know that PPL does have 4 distribution cycles, and 2 are international and 2 are UK. Our international distributions are March and September, and our UK distributions are June and December. Got any questions so far?
Someone's asking, how long can you backdate with registrations of tracks? That's from Emma Arden.
6 years.
6 years.
6 years.
Okay, we've got some questions. Do instrumental parts, like, this is from Georgia, from Cafe Spice, the great harmony band, says, do instrumental parts like bass lines, drum parts, vocal harmonies come under PPL or PRS? My band had a bit of a sticky situation.
That was
bit of a sticky one still.
It is a little bit of a sticky one. It kind of falls under, I would say it falls under PPL. But depending on obviously if they've made if they had composed the recording or if they had made a lyrical contribution, then they would need to refer to PRS.
Yeah, okay. So hold on 1 second. Just going to make sure. Okay, so what's the difference between MCPS and PPL?
Okay, it's a great question. MCPS, basically what they do is they deal with the mechanicals.
Yeah.
So that is when a recording is copied. Sorry, bear with me. Sorry, so it stands for the Mechanical Copyright Protection Society, sorry, and they represent songwriters and publishers as part of PRS for music. So what they do is they pay royalties for the copying of the work, such as if a recording is put on a CD or a physical product. Whereas PPL, as I've mentioned, we only pay out royalties on the sound recording.
Okay. Let me just see if there's anything else. Got PPL, blah, 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 blah. Oh, okay, I'm going to go into the Q&A. Let me see if any... Okay, no, I'm not going to go there. Okay, fine. I think, let me just see if there's any other big questions. Oh, I don't know if that was... Something like if you record the song yourselves, but it will be released under a label, but you pay for the recording, who owns the master rights? I think that was for the last... I think that was for the last one, but it might be for this. I'm not sure. I mean, I could answer that. Hold on. If you record the song yourselves, but it will be released under a label, but you pay for the recording, who owns them? You'll have a... Yeah, normally there'll be a clause in your contract that says it's still got to come out underneath the label. Okay. Yep. Anyway, Jaila, you carry on. I'm just gonna go. I've got to answer a phone call. No you problem. Carry on because I'm gonna.
No problem. So just to kind of talk a little bit about what PPL have done in terms of our charity work. So what we tend to do is we are continuing to be a key supporter of the PRS Foundation and the Ppl Momentum Fund. So this is an initiative which is aimed to offer UK artists or UK-based artists and bands, career boosting grants, which is between 5 and 15 grand. So I definitely advise for budding artists to check it out online. And also kind of just continuing with the charitable theme, PPL has also donated around £1 million to hardship funds within the industry. And that's not only to help like the musicians and labels and also their teams, but also like the industries that support them too. So I'm just going to kind of just talk a little bit about how PPL works and what anyone would need to do if they wanted to register. So firstly, what we would tend to do is we license our members' recordings to hundreds and thousands of businesses up and down the country. And what they tend to do is they would pay a license fee for that. We would then distribute the royalties collected and to those who performed on the recording. So again, the performers and also those who owned the rights within the track. So again, the rights holders. We achieved this thanks to our repertoire database, being that I think it currently holds 17 million songs. So a really large database. It contains information as to who owns the recordings and who performs on them, so we can then know who to pay effectively. So lastly, what anyone would need to do if they wanted to become a PPL member. So if you contributed to a recording either as a lead artist, like I mentioned about Little Sims earlier, or as a performer, such as a backing singer, guitarist, etc., or even as a label, then potentially you could be owed money by PPL. So register. You can
sorry, go on. Keep going.
I was just about to say you can do this online at www.ppluk.com. We've got two main types of registration. Two main types of membership, should I say? And these are performer and recording rights holders, as I've continued to say. But obviously, if you are a self-releasing artist, then you would be required to register as both. Once registering as a performer, all you'll need to do is provide us details of the tracks that you have made a contribution to and performed on, and then obviously we will ensure that correct payment is made to you. And the same really applies to a recording rights holder. So you would need to provide us with details of the recordings that you own and have released, along with information as to who's performed in it. So again, we can make sure that both the rights holders and performers are paid correctly. I think if anybody's got any kind of questions.
There's a big one here. There's a big one here. Okay.
Okay.
How does it work? How does it work to register? So for instance, if you've used Ppl loops, so for instance, you've used copyright-free loops, right?
Yeah.
So in effect, no one's playing the instruments, right? Do you still register that as yours?
Well, in effect, because the recording is out of copyright, so it's not owned by anybody. And if you picked up that recording and you've made a track based on that, then effectively you would be the copyright owner because it's out of copyright, so no one owns it.
Okay, last question, because Nikki will kill me if I don't do this one. So, do electronic producers get paid by Ppl, or is it only live guitarists? So basically, programmers, do they get paid? Do they get paid as well?
They could be paid depending. Oh, that's quite a tricky one, to be fair. I think that there are some methods to the madness, but to be honest, I think that that's something that you would definitely need to contact our member services about.
I think if you list that you program drums and program bass and program,
I believe that you can. I believe that you do receive payment for programming and for producers.
Okay.
Yes.
That's all cool. Now, Jayla, I would say thank you very much for your chat. Thank Ppl for supporting the seminar again for about the 5th year running. So we're really, really pleased and proud that it helps all of these things run for free all year round, which is brilliant.